Namaste, Vanakkam. My name is Jayalakshmi Sekhar. My musical journey began at a very, very young age. Reason being, my father was a flautist, and ever since I knew, I'd heard him play the flute at home. And we were living in an estate close to Sramban at that time, and so as far as I know, my father was my first guru, teaching me the basics of Carnatic music. And also the household was always filled with recorded music. We had a spool tape recorder, and my father used to record what was aired in radio from Chennai those days. And everybody, all of us got to listen to it, whether we liked it or not. I went to school in Sramban, convent school. At that time, when I was 6 years old, my father announced that he was getting us a violin teacher, and he was none other than Ramalingayar. He was the father-in-law of the great singer, the late Padma Subramaniam. So he used to come all the way from KL by bus and train and whatever, and teach my sister and me. But he was a strict teacher belonging to that era. So we hated him and announced to my father that we will not learn music anymore. So he stopped it. But I continued. I wanted to learn the music. So my father would write the notes, and I would memorize them and play it on the violin my own way. My interest on the veena came about when I was 10 years old, and we were taken to this Swami Padam, Saraswati Sabaram. அது பார்த்ததுலேருந்து I was dreaming of me playing with the veena, and I would pretend that the veena is mine, and then I told my father, can you get me the veena? So he thought it's fine, and we used to go yearly to India at that time. So he made an order for a veena. It was a great veena maker in Trichy named Ramji. He was a very well-known veena maker those days. So my father specified what he wanted, and the god was the god that we keep on our left thigh was made out of charakai. That is bottle god. Bottle god those days was round, not straight like now. And the frets for the veena, he had ordered stainless steel, unlike the brass that the usual veenas have. So everything was made to order, and we went to Trichy, and I got the veena, but there was no teacher. So my father managed to find out how to play Sarigama, and he taught me that, and all the music with the Varnams, Kritis, Pancharatnams, everything he used to sing, and I will play. So I had learnt a lot of music. By the time I actually got a veena teacher, when I was 14, and we moved to India, and my master came into my life, Pudukkottai Jayaramayar, and he would not play the veena, but he'll only sing, and knew how to play the veena Balachandar style. So he heard me play, and then I had to relearn whatever I had learned all these years, but I had already the music in me, so it made it easier, and he just showed me how to play the instrument. At that time, S. Balachandar, the great Vainika, used to, he had just introduced the contact mic, and also later on he had modified the veena with the tuning keys, which we are very grateful for now. And because the contact mic had come into stay, my master thought that I should not play loudly. So when he comes to teach me and I'm sitting on the floor, I can barely hear what he sings, and he can barely hear what I play. Nobody in the house would know what I was playing, because I have to strum very softly in anticipation that one day I'll use the contact mic. So this was the reason why I was told to play softly from the start. And I think I'm very grateful to that concept right from the beginning of my learning years, because I was always playing soft. So it's like playing an electric guitar where there is no sound. Only when you amplify it, you get the sound, and that makes it so melodious. So meanwhile, my father was playing the flute, and he had told me that he will not teach me how to play the flute because it's very difficult for a lady. But so I told him just to teach me Sarigama Padanisa, and he used to live in Malaysia, and we were in India. So on one of my visits to meet him, I asked him to teach me, and he taught me Sarigama Padanisa. And 1 year later, I played a song in one Varnam for him. And he was quite shocked because I used to practice. And I was practicing on the violin because my favorite musician at that time was Lalgudi Sri Jayaraman, because I just loved the violin. And but I was learning the veena. So I used to, when I want to learn and memorize a song, I'll just play it in all the three instruments, so that at the end of the day I will be thorough with this music. So right from the start, I never had a guru who actually played the veena or played the violin. So I understood that you need to know the music and how it goes, whether it's a bhava, the rhythm, raga, and anything, embellishments. We should know how it is in the beginning, and we can put it into our instruments in anything. And then I went to school, and I have a degree in BSc Chemistry from Stella Maris College. And there I learned how to play the guitar with my friends. So the chords and that also enticed me. It was basically music all the way. At the same time, my background was purely Carnatic, learning Varnams, lots of kritis of the Trinity. And my master went on to teach me Navavarnams, Navagrahas. By the time my parents were thinking of who to marry me off to, my Veena master said, wait until he finished the Navagrahas and Navavarnams of Muthuswami Dikshitar, and then there would be a good match. So, like he wanted, I finished all that, and that's how, after that, my husband's family, his sister was our neighbor in Salamban. So, through her, they came because he was very interested in music and he wanted somebody who will know music. I came into his life. And he in turn introduced me to one of the best gurus that I ever had to advance my repertoire, the great Padma Bhushan legendary Dr. Sripada Pinakapani, who was my mother-in-law's sister's husband. But for my husband, it was his music that was the true music in Carnatic music, without any no gimmicks, very traditional. So the fact that I got into that music helped me improve on my veena. By the time I wanted to learn right directly from him, and he agreed, I used to listen to a lot of the music of Dr. Pinakapani's and notate them and teach to my husband's sisters, my sisters-in-law, who were willing to come and learn from me. It was their uncle after all. So like that, I improved my music by teaching all of them and notating them. And at that time, very early in my life, my father had already told me the importance of notation writing. Any phrase of we sing, we should be able to write it down. We don't have musical notes like Western notes, but we would write it in Tamil, Telugu, even English now. But if we have the notation, it would be in their concrete evidence of that particular phrase of any raga in any music. So I had developed that, which made it easy for me to learn from anyone. So if I listened to any music, I could write it down and learn it. The first ever notation writing I did was when the Veena Venu violin record came into being in 1968 or 69. My father bought the record, Lalgudi sir and Flute Ramani and Veena Venkatraman. And they had played Mohana Rama, Tyagaraja's piece in Mohana Ragam. I was so taken up by that I wrote down the notation and I begged my father to learn it from me. I was 13 or 14 then. But he, being a parent, obliged and he learned it. So it developed my notation writing. That I have to be spiritual to actually emotionally get involved in the music. My master, Pudukkottai Jayaramayar, was inculcating this to me in the sense that he didn't aspire that I should become a famous musician or anything. Through this music, he wanted me to go beyond a certain level. So every music, every composition he taught me, he would tell me the meaning of that. I didn't know Telugu at that time, and he knew Telugu. So each sentence, he will refer to a certain story behind it, go beyond it, and There were sometimes even in Pancharatnas or a lot of Tyagaraja Kritis or Shama Shastris, where he would go off into another level as he was teaching, and then he will show me how his hair stood on end, and he would say that he wants me to get into that state. So that was my formative years between 14 and 22, when I was also learning guitar. I was playing, wearing Western clothes in India. It was just beginning of all those things, and having all friends, going to church, going to temples, everything was the same to me. But he didn't emphasize on any religious aspect, but the fact that we have to get into the level beyond the normal level is what he was into. And I think that affected me somehow, because these compositions our compositions are always rendered as a prayer. So if I wanted to join a jazz group or Western musicians to do something else, which I've done a lot in my other, later on in life, I don't use these compositions. We will compose differently for that, maybe the ragas, Indian ragas, but leaving compositions of the Trinity and just the music by itself. So that was how I got involved in general acceptance of all types of beliefs. And when I perform this music, I get into what it means. And this reason, whenever there's any festival or Kumbhabhishekam or anything in any temple and I'm invited, I don't hesitate to take my instrument and go. Just like many other musicians in Chennai, it's all a big group. When some Kumbhabhishekam or something is happening in anywhere, Kanchipuram, Tirunelveli, Tiruchendur, Tirupati, anywhere, we are ready to take the instrument and go. Because there's it draws us to that, using the compositions of the Trinity. This influence in my life with my gurus, even my advanced guru, Dr. Pinakapani, and later on I went to learn the compositions of Lalgudi Jayaraman, because I like them so much, the melody. And if you wanted to learn any Hindustani raga, which is not in our music, I just have to take up any one of Lalgudi's sars, either Varnams or Tilanas, which he has done on all ragas. So playing those, you get the feeling that you don't have to be so traditional, but at the same time, melodically, that will be, it's complete. It's complete in itself. And when I was younger, I had learnt to play the guitar and chords and do country music with my friends. And so that was another section. And then when I came to settle down in Malaysia, Ramli Ibrahim influenced me a lot and used to involve me in playing with jazz musicians like Michael Veerapan and Louis Prakasham and a lot of them, and have productions where it involved me playing the flute, violin and the veena, and into music relating to Carnatic, but at the same time I could blend in with any of them. So I have ventured so that I would not say it is my own, but I could do it. The fact that I could do it means I could do the classical traditional without putting any, without diluting that tradition, classical music. At the same time, I could do the other aspect of modern music or anything. As I grew older, this is one more thing, that this is only because of the practice that I had done between 5 years and 20 years. That's the time when a lot of my involvement with the violin speed and listening to Chitti Babu on the veena, I used to notate what he had played and try to play the same speed as what he has done, and try that on the flute and the violin also. So what I'm getting to say is that how much of practice and how much of learning goes into your formative years, which will take you to all the way in your life. There have been always challenges when it comes to the art, because it is not it's this Carnatic music is nothing compared to anything in the world, because it is a different science. My guru called it a science. The laya, the rhythm patterns, which we use for music or Bharatanatyam, there's nothing like this in the entire world. So, how much practice we do is what will take us, and for that, the practice inside of we should have it inside to keep on in our mind. So there are times when I had a slip disc, I couldn't play the veena, leave alone. I couldn't even get up. So that was 3 weeks and more than 1 month and all that. But having had the practice when I was very young, I didn't have to perform on, keep the veena with me. When I could, I was lying down, putting the veena across myself, and then moving my fingers and practicing my strumming. Apart from household work or going around on holidays or doing any other job, this was always in me that I wanted to do. Because I got this probably when my father used to play the flute at 4:45 in the morning, and 12 hours later again he'd play, and he was a scientist. So he connected the brain work with this music. Practice is very important. Memorizing is the most important. It's just like going to school and learning so that our grades will be good. So we have to, now we don't have examinations for our Carnatic music, but in ourselves we should have a sort of, we should have a farsightedness. Like today I'm learning one varnam. By 3 months later, I should be playing this same varnam in 4 speeds. If we have that, then every morning, and this was not only me, I was looking around at all the musicians in my age group, Sudha Raghunathan and many others who were at that time coming up. They were my very good friends. So we were all like, we didn't compare notes, but we knew each one what we were doing. And challenging with the veena, it's never easy. I had a program in Delhi, and I was in a taxi going to the theatre in Habitat Center. The taxi man just slammed the door shut, and the veena, which was across, got pushed, and the yard broke, the dragon head. And I was entering the music hall to start my program in about 45 minutes. Just lucky for me that there were some carpenters doing some carpentry work in the entrance of the building. And I ran to them and said, can you help me fix up? So they had the glue, they put the thing together and tied it up with some rope, which won't look ugly. They had the color, similar color to my veena. They tied it up very nicely for me, and I performed and came. And then there are, like, when you go in a train, sometimes the train shakes, and if you're not careful, the veena will fall off. So once it has happened to me, but it didn't break, thankfully. So things like that. And while we are playing, my first concert was an NRI concert in Chennai. By the way, I started performing in India only in my mid-30s. So I was matured enough. I was not like a child going into the scene, and parents have to take them all around, and there's a lot of politics and a lot of things that they are doing now. I didn't have to do all that. I was matured enough, and I decided, okay, I know so much, let me try. My first performance, the man who handles the mic, he turned on something and he went away. That's normal so they don't stay there and see that everything is all right. Then my sound kept going and coming, and but I just have to continue because your time is so much, you just have to sit there. So later on, when I approached the organizer, he says, நீ வாசிக்கலைன்னா 25 பேர் இருக்கா லைன்ல, அதனால உன்னோட வேலையை நீ பண்ணிட்டு போனோம், அந்த ஸ்டேஜ் கீழே விழுந்தாலும் பரவாயில்ல. They were so harsh. He said, if the stage falls down, doesn't matter, you still continue playing because this is your slot, and there are so many people who would readily take up that slot. That's how the competition is in India. There's so many musicians. So nobody really cares. You have to do your bit, and then it has to be approved or liked. And fortunately for me, that I had come from such a legendary guru who had taught me enough to enjoy the veena myself. The music was so intact. So the music matters a lot, whether it is veena or violin or flute or anything. And when I was starting out in Chennai, I got an advice from a well-wisher, Flute Ramani sir, who told me, if you want center stage, you concentrate on one instrument. And if you play for dance music, they won't regard you as a main artist. So be careful of all those things. And don't go around telling everybody you play everything, because they get confused. And so this was my time, it was different. Now you have to tell what you're doing. You have to say you're doing 100,000 things, then they get impressed. It was not like that when we were doing. So that was a major difference, and there are challenges up to my neck, but maybe I can write volumes on this. And this is what all musicians will face. The Veena people have a tougher time because of the instrument and the fragile condition it is in. Keep at it. Very difficult. I'm not the only one, an art of a Carnatic music field, who will say that our main thought in should be regarding any art. We are talking about Carnatic music and we are talking about Veena, but any art form or any field that you want to be good at means practice, means memory, means memorizing. Lalgudi sir had told me, he tells all the students it seems, if you are playing one line 100 times, in that 79th time when you go make a mistake, you go back to the first time. And now, you can't, if you try to tell a student 10 times you play, 10 no, they ask like this. So that is what it was. And my mother was, usually she will threaten me that she'll stop my Veena class if I don't practice. And she'll wake me up at 4:30 in the morning and I have to sit in the dark with the Veena, no light, and she'll say practice. So I don't have to, I wouldn't protest or anything because anyway I wanted to practice. So if the children who want to do it, first thing it will come from within. But these days I encourage parents to sit with the children just to know what they are doing. And it is proving very effective in many of my students now all over the world. US, where I don't see them face to face, and KL, I don't see them all the time. But I have asked the parents to help and do like bonding. So those who don't know music are learning through the child, and the child is very interested to tell the parent what he's doing or not. And the recording that I send, the parent has to listen. Doesn't matter if he didn't understand or she, but pretend to know. The key word is the adult should not tell the student, a younger person, that they don't know. So what they do, the parent tries to understand what I've recorded, and then he or she sits with the child, and they improve a lot. All my students whose parents are helping them, everybody has improved, and the children are very happy. So the main criteria is not the Veena or anything, but any instrument or any field that you want your child to excel, the parent has to get involved, one of them, or a grandparent or somebody, or an aunt. But if they do that, there's a bond. They don't want the teachers all the time. They don't even look at me sometimes, but they want somebody in their family. And I feel very satisfied when I actually see the child has improved. Why? Because the parents said that. So this is one aspect of learning. The key word is memory and practice. If we memorize the song, then when you play, it becomes so much easier. You can concentrate on what you are playing on, which fret to put your finger on, and how the gamakas are done. The gamakas playing differs in all instruments. Appo if you memorize, மனப்பாடம் பண்ணிட்டா அது வாசிக்கும் போது ரொம்ப ஈஸியா இருக்கும். I've had so many experiences in different parts of the world, Chennai and around India itself, and everywhere we go, our experiences are wonderful, challenging, very satisfactory, memorable. But because we have to, sometimes the concerts are back to back, and so many, but we just keep learning and drawing up a list and improving on our improvisation, alapanas, kalpanaswaram, how to deal with our stage companies. So I think I'm quite lucky because I started late in my life. I was not pushed to perform like an adult when I was very young. I had a normal childhood, and when I really came up to performing, it was very relaxing for me. And many people, I've heard a lot of comments about my Veena playing as melodic, and even though it's very traditional, a lot of people enjoy it. I go every year to Germany, and perform for Germans only, Germans and other foreigners. There won't be hardly any Indians, but then they seem to enjoy the melody. And my thing is, my stage accompanists and me shouldn't go beyond a certain volume. So I have accompanists who will adhere to what I am playing. I don't want to call it Veena, the center person is the main, yes, but we are not overbearing to all of the violin or mridangam or ghattam or anyone, but they help enhance the melodic structure. So this is what I am aiming for, and it is reaching out to audiences. And I had a performance in Berlin last year with the Indian Embassy, and then few years back I performed in Estonia through a friend, and it was 3 degrees or something, and the performance was held on a wooden stage on a lake, and it was a valley, and audiences had like little fire, so that they can keep warm. We had nothing, so we had to sit on that thing, and the scene was too good, and it was so cold. The finger was just sliding like going on a skating ring, but everybody enjoyed it. The mic system was so good, and I'm displaying. I mean, I'm always using the tambura, even though an electric tambura will be with me, because I remember in the foreign countries they want to see what a veena looks like, traditional veena, traditional tambura. So one mic guy came, I hear some sort of engine. What is that? So he came looking around and he found it was my electric tambura. He considered this the sound like an engine. What's the real thing? So things like that. We have lovely experiences. And comments, yes, we have adverse comments and all. Why do you do this and things like that. But we get by, because I think each one of us is made for certain things, and that's the route we have to follow. I'd like to thank Sugam Karnataka, Mrs. Sujitra, and everyone in the team, and the students that I've been teaching over there, and all my students all over the world, my family members, my husband TV Sekhar, who inspires and gives me a lot of freedom to continue with my music, and is my guide in the theoretical part and things like that, and everybody who's my well-wisher and my friends. Thank you.